Welcome back to part 2. If you missed part 1, that's where we did the lifting and shaping, the actual lamination step. But here's the thing that most tutorials skip. The second half of this procedure is just as important. Without proper hydration and color work, even perfect lamination can look flat and fade faster than it should. So let's get into it. Right now, we're applying the third product in the sequence. This is a deep conditioning and moisturizing formula. The whole point of this step is to restore what the previous chemicals took from the hair fiber. Lamination opens the cuticle to reshape the hair, and that process naturally draws out some of the moisture. So this conditioning step is non-negotiable. You skip it, your client's brows will feel brittle within a week, and nobody wants that. While this product sits and absorbs, there's really no reason to just stand there. This is the perfect time to go back in with tweezers and do any fine correction that needs to happen. You know, sometimes when the hairs are all lifted and combed upward, you actually see strays you didn't notice before. Small hairs sitting just outside the shape line, little ones that interrupt the clean edge. Taking them out now, while the skin is still soft and the product is doing its job, is honestly the most efficient way to work. I always tell my students, a clean shape isn't just about what you add, it's about what you remove. The negative space around the brow is what defines the arch and gives that sharp, intentional look. Tweezers work is detail work. You need good lighting and you need patience. And you need to think about the shape as a whole, not just respond to each individual hair. Step back, look at the symmetry, then go in. Now we move to the coloring phase. I use a layering technique here, which means instead of applying a heavy coat all at once, you build the color in 2 or 3 thinner applications. Why? Because a single thick layer tends to grab unevenly. The front hairs, which are finer, will go darker than the tail hairs, and then you end up with that gradient effect nobody asked for. With layering, you control the saturation, and the result is much more uniform and natural looking. The shade I'm working with here is a natural warm brown, chosen to complement rather than overpower the natural hair color. This is actually one of the most common mistakes I see with brow coloring, going too dark. People think darker means more defined, but often it just looks heavy. The goal is to give depth and fill gaps, not to paint on new eyebrows. Subtle always wins on the face. And while the color is processing, let me tell you something I genuinely love about brow lamination combined with tinting. The lamination straightens and lifts the hairs, which means the color distributes much more evenly than it would on untreated brows. The flat, open hair surface grabs pigment beautifully. It's almost like the 2 procedures were designed to work together, because they were. Now we're removing the product. Gentle strokes with a cotton pad, working with the grain of the hair direction. You don't want to drag or pull, especially this soon after the lamination. The hairs are still in their new position and you want them to stay there. Clean, careful removal makes all the difference for the longevity of the result. Final step, styling with the spoolie. This is the moment everything comes together. A clean spoolie brushed through the brows just sets the shape, fluffs the hairs back into that perfect lifted position, and gives you a real preview of the result without any product residue left over. It's also when the client sees their brows for the first time, and that reaction, honestly, is the best part of this job. Lifted, defined, naturally tinted. That's what part 2 delivers. I hope this gave you some insight into why each step matters and how to approach them thoughtfully. If you have questions about products or technique, leave them in the comments. I read every single one.